Hi, it's Atoolred. We come here to 2000, Millennium 2000, and it's the end of 2018. It's the start of 2019. So we crossed the danger mark, basically. 2018, that is 666, that is 18, 6 plus 6 plus 6. And also let's say that Millennium has become an adult. So it's the adult millennium. At 18 is the adult year. So moment you cross over 18, that is 666, that's 18, the devil's dam. So you become an adult once you know how to deal with the devil. So we should presume now that the devil will not do us any harm anymore. We are more at an advantage, although there will be many skirmishes. And there'll be a lot of there may be a lot of violence on, but I don't think it's going to have any effect on us permanently, because once you cross over 2018, it really doesn't matter, because the devil loses its total force, and it has to obey now. It has to obey the master. That is the Almighty. So let's say happy birthday to the millennium today. That's 2019. That's happy birthday to the millennium. Once you cross over to the devil's mark. So what damage did the devil do to us? Apart from me, apart from ruining my life and my career and my whole fan base and all my softwares, my website, my whole music, everything. It's just ruined everything. It's just in a couple of years. The most wrecking damage was last year itself in 2018, when there were so many murder attempts on me, and also there was a lot of hacking going on. My website is totally torn up. I can't edit on my website. There's so much of economic loss. There's so much of total loss in every sense, even health loss. But I come out of it, and I'm much stronger now. And what about the global scene? You see what happened in the global scene, what a wreck it really is. So, like as usual, we are more about aesthetics, academic aesthetics. Let's assess the academic aesthetic damage done to the world, the society, and everybody, including the animal species, the God and earth, even the mud, the grain of mud, the blue sky, and all the solar system, because of the devil, basically mankind at its worst. So what do we see? You see, when we were very young, I remember growing up with hypnosis, hypno beauty, hypnotech, and discotheque, disco, music, rhythm. Rhythm was a perfect beauty rhythm. I'm going to say all those Diana Ross and Olivia Newton-John. From Diana Ross to Olivia Newton-John, it was perfect from the 60s, 70s till 90s. But after that, as soon as millennium started approaching 2000, everything started destroying itself. I guess the devil started taking on, because everything that is born new falls into the hands of the devil to see exactly what the devil will do to it. But every devil has its own. But at 2019, I guess it's over. That's basically the mental effect, the spiritual effect. But the physical effect still has to be dealt with. So mentally, the devil is out, but physically, it's still active. So let's not say that the devil is dead. It may do physical damage. Mental torture, the mental torture is over, but the physical torture still is a threat. It's still going on. So I hope that this year is going to come to an end. It has to come to an end. Beautiful, good life has to come back to us again. So as the millennium has to progress, the millennium doesn't end over here. I may end, we may end, but the millennium will progress, and so will mankind go ahead. So all those beautiful people during my childhood, this millennium also saw the demise of my parents, General Christian Law, and my mother, Mrs. Christian Law. They were brutally treated by by the doctors. Basically, the doctor himself is a devil. Deeper doctor, deeper devil. The worst devil is a doctor. Refuses to give up. So believing that water is a cure for everything. You drink water, it cures constipation, and that's all. So momently your constipation is cleared, but he stresses on they stress on hygiene and everything, and not to drink water, because he called it water clogging. That's how my parents died, because they kept saying that they drink too much of water, it'll develop water clogging and salt retention due to excessive salt. So sodium should be minimized, and so should water be minimized, so that due to salt retention and water retention, it may lead to their death, because water will go into all the pores of the body. It would not be able to come out. So, and exactly what happened, basically, they did that, and obviously there was water retention, and due to low sodium and other aspects, there's a multiple organ failure. So if they had just left my parents alone and left me with their parents, I guess I could have killed them with just water. So the problem is, what we grew up with was a beautiful life, and even my parents said that. My dad was very angry. He was one of the best diplomats in the world. He's a military diplomat. He studied at Cambridge. He was MTech in radars, missiles, computers, control engineering, from the best universities of the world, from IIT Kanpur in India, BITS Pilani. He's also from Staff College. He's also from the best organization in the military. That's quality assurance. He was busy with quality, basically, quality life. That's how I got into academic aesthetics. And he brought me up, my parents and my grandparents. My grandparents were also very well off and very educatedly. My grandfather was an inspector of schools, royal schools, and during the British period. And that's how he insisted I become a diplomat. He wanted me to be an international diplomat. That's the Indian Foreign Service, International Foreign Service. So my parents too gave me the education to be a diplomat. But what they didn't expect was the millennium turning out this way. And so my parents died pretty young, 60, 67, 69. It's not a good age to die. It's very young. Anyway, so I was brought up to be a diplomat, and that goes for my style, my education all over the world, and whatever education I've had, always in the best schools, obviously, to improve and develop my English and communication skills, apart from other technical skills like electronics and other computers and communications. So I didn't make it to a regular diplomatic service job, but I'm sure I am diplomatic one, being chief diplomat's son. I inherit that automatically. So I rather do diplomacy with the world on YouTube and with everybody around the world, rather than sit in a room and do diplomacy with a couple of hardcore neo-capitalist developed to just overstock words and overstock materials and overstock emotions and sell it at their own price, at their own convenience. That's exactly what's happened today with this neoliberal capitalist movement going on. and especially with unlimited production that's called basically made in China, is overstocking and selling it at your price and at your own convenience whenever you want to. You can choose the product you want to sell. Just overstock it. Everything is so cheap. And the retailer knows it, or the businessman knows it. The business houses, that there are enough fools to buy products at cheaper rates. So they will not be cheaper, obviously, when they sell it, but there are enough fools to buy old poison. There are enough fools in the world. And so this whole concept of academic aesthetics does not take off at all this time. Because basically the basic whole concept of continuity of the millennium was to we already have so much in engineering. We have almost everything perfect in our world. So what the basic concept of society was to have done was to make it more beautiful, like the most beautiful machines. What we were traveling towards was making the most beautiful machines. The 21st century, this millennium 2000, was about developing most beautiful machines, but that's become an extinction. Why? My father was, again, here, like I told you, he was in quality control, quality assurance, as well as communication. That's communications, machine communications. So computers, telecom, and I told her he was very highly qualified in each and every aspect. One of the most highly qualified officers in the world. So obviously that's why he was also the most hated. He was with Rajiv Gandhi, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and he was in his team. He was the advisor. He was also the project leader at that time, when Rajiv Gandhi died, to computerize the government service. We were also in the same place when Rajiv Gandhi died. We were in the south, and he was in the team too. So it was all linked up, basically. So that time he himself said that instead of continuity of communications, people are more interested in blocking communications. He couldn't understand that. We used to sit down and discuss that a lot, that why do people don't like communication, especially in English. They don't like accents, they don't like aesthetics. My father was very handsome, one of the most handsome people in the world. They called him Boris, because he looked like a Russian general. He was around 6'2", and he was as big as Yeltsin, if you understand President Yeltsin of Russia. He came after Gorbachev. So before Putin, before President Putin, so he was just like that, and be associating with those guys, generals around the world, obviously it rubbed off on him. So that's what people ask me. What do you mean by perfect? I said my father was one of the most handsome people in the world, one of the most handsome men in the world, and obviously everybody should tell me that you got to be better than your father. You got to be better than your father. And generally, as well as I was undergoing that whole training to be a diplomat, so I used to figure out what could be better than my father. If I was to be something and be better than my father, he's totally his most handsome man in the whole world. I'm saying all the women they just go, woo, what's that? So they just look at him up and down, and they don't take off their eyes off him. When he's in the room, they're all just ogling at him. So that's another reason I have so many enemies. So I said, why should what's there? How should I be better than my father? So looking at it, I could get I gotta be perfect. So my father wasn't perfect because because of the competition in the military around the world, the wars, the whole Cold War threat, and all those hardships he had. He was a very tough man. He was one of the most tough people. They used to say that once he was in a concentration camp in Mizoram, where there was a lot of insurgency and there was a lot of terrorism. basically it's called Naxalites. In India, there's a different kind of coding in India, so they have different kind of linguistic barriers, so it's called insurgency. So there was one of these guys sitting over there, one of these Chinese communist guys, young guy. He was caught for some kind of violence. So my father was called in, and they were questioning him about some things. So he looked at my father, and he said, "Who's this?" He said, "This is the guy who's going to interview you." He said, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'll tell you everything." So that's the kind of guy my father was. He was a real terror-like. He was a real terror personality and a very handsome man. So I said, like, I want to be perfect. That would be a right fitting example to my father. So to be perfect. So what else would a son of a man like a general's son, as handsome as my father? He was considered as a King Dashrath. Later on, they used to call him King Dashrath. King Dashrath was a father of Ram in Ramayana. So they used to say he's just like that. He's a God Almighty. So I said, I'll be perfect. So that's what I want to be. That's how perfect came about. And that's how perfect trainers came about. Anyway, so since it's 2019, and these memories came down to me, especially my father, mother. They were so beautiful. My mother was so beautiful, so beautiful. I can't express it, you know. They were so perfect in their upbringing that I just don't understand. You can make out by my presentations, my speech, my language, as well as my lifestyle. Maybe my lifestyle today is not as beautiful as it was, living in those big mansions, lazing around and with all that pomp and show on my own, obviously because of the devil 666 and other aspects. My parents suffered and died because of that. They understood. But before he died, my father was in the hospital, and I walked in the night before he died. He looked at me in the eye. He said, "Hi, perfect." I said, "Yeah, Dad." He never said that ever before. I said, "What?" He said, "Hi, perfect. You're perfect. What's up?" So take me down to the room. I want to meet those people. So I was wondering why he said perfect to me when he never said that ever to me before. So anyway, later I went back, and in the night I got a call that your father is no more. Come and take his body. That's just like any hospital do, and that's the worst part for the hospitals too, because they do it like their business is out. So they're very angry about it that a general died over here. So anyway, remembering these things. Remembering these things bring me to the point that there is a point you got to make at some time in life. It's not that you take and don't give back anybody anything. What you give back others is very important. If I had married, I would be having a kid around 18, 19 now. But I didn't. But that doesn't qualify me as not being intelligent or anything, and I'm not going to lose the opportunity to give a lecture to them, even though I did have the ability to have children or marry. Anyway, ability means that the chances, not the ability to have perfect abilities, but not the chance. So what is it all about? Today I notice that in the 70s and the 60s, it was a beautiful world. We just lost the beauty around 90s, and 2000 to 2018 was as ugly as can be. But I want you to look into that don't take that ugliness as an example that it got to continue. Use that example as saying that it will not continue, that it's been an education for us so that we know and we are better off than not having it at all. At least we know there's so much of ugliness and what mankind can do to each other, and how ugly people can be, and how ugly things can become from such a beautiful time. In just a couple of years, everything can become so ugly. So it's very important that we keep on reinforcing this aspect of aesthetics, beauty all the time. To wherever we go, to ourselves, to all the children, to all the adults, even to old people. Reinforcement of this view of beauty is very important. So that at least someone does get influenced by it. If there are no people doing that, then obviously it's gonna be a big ugly world. And if you're gonna come back after 1,000 years to do the disco, or to do the foxtrot, or to do the break dance, or do the shuffle, what are you gonna hear? What are you gonna do? It's gonna be an ugly world. You're gonna get the same old broken nose again. Anyway, so what I really want to tell you is, don't give up on the aspect of aesthetics, academic aesthetics, beauty. And if you think it's easy, it isn't easy. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, believe me, to remain as consistent as me in academic aesthetics and develop it till this level. If you look into my life, it's like in total decay, but I never gave up. My parents didn't give up. And I hope you never give up too. So if you set it up this time, it'll continue till Millennium 3000. It has to. If Millennium 2000, the first team, Team 1, Millennium 2000 is not strong enough, the next team, Team 2, Team 3, Team 10, will not be strong enough. So we got to lay down this perfect academic beauty, perfect academic aesthetic examples, and go. So congratulations, Team 1, Millennium 2000, you crossed over 2018, you're adults now. So let's travel together, lay an example for this millennium that we are and we will remain so perfect. So hail perfect. Atoolred. Copyright.